In the Kingdom of Golden Meadows, there lived a kind and curious princess named Betty. She had a heart as sweet as the honey she loved so much. Every day, Princess Betty would wander through the castle gardens, watching the bees as they buzzed busily around the royal hives. The honey they made was famous across the land, and Betty would often spend time with the beekeepers, learning about the bees' important work. One afternoon, while out exploring the forest beyond the castle grounds, Betty wandered deeper than usual. She loved the peacefulness of the woods, the songs of birds in the trees, and the rustling of leaves beneath her feet. As she walked, she came across something strange, an old stone archway covered in ivy. It wasn't something she had ever seen before. Curious, Betty stepped through the archway and found herself in front of a hidden cave. The entrance was covered with soft moss, and a faint golden light seemed to be coming from within. Betty, being adventurous, couldn't resist. She carefully stepped inside. At the heart of the cave, on a bed of emerald green moss, was a large, ornate jar. It was unlike anything Betty had ever seen. The jar was made of crystal, glowing softly with a golden hue, and the lid was sealed with intricate symbols, like a puzzle waiting to be solved. A sweet, comforting scent of honey filled the air. Drawn to it, Betty reached out and gently touched the jar. As soon as her fingers brushed against it, the seal on the lid shimmered, and the jar slowly opened with a soft, melodic sound. A golden mist poured out, swirling around her, and the cave seemed to come alive with magic. From the mist emerged a tiny creature, glowing with a warm golden light. It was a honey sprite, with delicate wings and a glowing smile. The sprite hovered in front of Betty, its voice soft but commanding. "Who dares open the sacred honey jar?" the sprite asked. Betty, startled but not afraid, stepped back and curtsied. "I am Princess Betty of Golden Meadows. I didn't mean to disturb anything. I was simply curious." The honey sprite tilted its head, observing Betty with wise eyes. "You have unlocked the magic of this jar, Princess. Few have done so, and now you must choose wisely. I shall grant you one wish, but it must come from the heart." Betty thought for a moment. She could wish for anything, riches, beauty, or endless wonders. But in that moment, all she could think of was the happiness and love that filled her kingdom. She remembered the joy people felt when they tasted the honey from the royal hives, how it brought families together, how it made every meal sweeter. And she thought of the kindness that was at the heart of everything she did. "I wish," Betty said with a warm smile, "for this honey to be shared with everyone in my kingdom, so that all may taste its sweetness and feel the joy it brings." The honey sprite's golden eyes sparkled with approval. "Your wish is pure, Princess Betty. You seek to spread love, and that is the truest kind of magic." With a wave of the sprite's tiny hand, a brilliant golden light poured from the jar, spilling out into the cave like a river of honey. The light then spread throughout the kingdom, flowing gently through the towns, villages, and castles. As it spread, people's faces lit up with joy, and every home in the land found its own jar of magical honey. The bees of the royal hives seemed to work faster than ever, buzzing happily as if they too were part of the enchantment. The next morning, the kingdom awoke to find jars of the sweetest honey everywhere. There was enough for every family, every baker, every merchant. The honey was so sweet, it seemed to carry with it not just flavor, but magic. The magic of love, of kindness, and of sharing. Princess Betty returned to her castle, her heart full of warmth. The people of Golden Meadows rejoiced, praising the princess for her selfless wish. The kingdom became even more peaceful and prosperous as people gathered to share their honey and their smiles with one another. As for Betty, she visited the forest often, but she never saw the honey sprite again. She didn't need to. The magic had already worked, not just in the honey, but in the hearts of her people. And so, Princess Betty continued to lead her kingdom, always reminding them that the sweetest things in life were the ones shared with others.